everybody, and welcome inside the casual, well, somewhat casual edition of the Wrap-Up. Dan Myers, Nick Buckler with you. That's right, as always. Dan, the reason we're not wearing jackets today, it's a funny one. Not really funny, though. Just funny, because why not? I forgot my jacket today.
Well, then it's really hot out right now.
That's right.
So
I wear a jacket in the summertime. It's Michigan. It could be 30 tomorrow, so keep it on deck. You never know. We kept the sleeves long for a little bit of professionalism. The ties, the slacks. We're not wearing shorts under here, people. This is the real deal.
Yeah.
You get what you see. You see what you get. Dan, there's been some stuff going on in sports lately. What really has happened is the trade deadline in the Major League Baseball world. Some would say the Tigers had somewhat of an underwhelming performance. One of the major sports sites, I can't remember off the top of my head who it was, but they broke down grades, the American League Central. The Tigers got the lowest grade of trade deadline action with a C. The White Sox got an A-, loaded up on some prospects, dealt a lot of their players. They dealt, obviously, Quintana, they dealt Melky Cabrera, and they've just moved some players, and they've got a haul back for Quintana from the Cubs. And the Royals got a B, the Indians got a B-, the Twins got a B-, and your Detroit Tigers got a C. They moved J.D. Martinez for somewhat of an underwhelming return of same position infielders. Then they move late Sunday night their closer, Justin Wilson, and Alex Avila to the Cubs for the Cubs' #1 prospect and the Cubs' #10 prospect. So what do you take out of overall the performance from our leader, Al Avila, the general manager of your Detroit Tigers?
Well, I think the trades obviously represent, the leader, Al Avila, and what he's been pulling in. I think a C is being too generous. A C is average. C is just going along as she goes, and I don't think he deserves that much. I've heard both ends of the spectrum as far as that trade and how the trades and how people feel about that. And I've heard a lot of people very pro trade, and other guys on the other end of the spectrum were very anti-trade. And what were we doing? We should have done this, that. I mean, he's just a small drop in the bucket as far as contracts are concerned. But what were you gonna do? What were you gonna get? I know the big two topics were, can we get rid of Miggy? Can we get rid of JV? It didn't happen. I think it was wishful thinking. It really wasn't going to happen. Everyone likes to think they'd win the lottery one day, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen. But it's fun to daydream about. So I've done it more pretty often. But I think C's being a little too good, too nice for that grade. So I really think it represents what this organization's doing, and a C. I feel like you either make it or you don't.
Okay, I'm going to, just for the sake of television, I'm going to oppose you here.
Okay.
I really don't like what they got for J.D. Martinez. I do like what they got for Justin Wilson and Alex Avila. But the reason I'm going to say, let's wait to see how these trades play out. Came across my time hop the other day, 2 years ago, when the Tigers moved David Price, Yoenis Cespedes, and Joakim Soria. They got a haul of no-names back. The biggest piece in that puzzle that we returned was the man who lives in a van down by the river and shaves with an axe, Daniel Norris. He was this stud. This guy is going to win a Cy Young next year. He comes in, and in his debut at Wrigley Field as a Detroit Tiger, in his first ever at-bat, mind you, he's a pitcher, cranks a home run to center field, and then gets a win in the game and only gives up 4 hits, 1 run. This guy, this is it. What's he done since?
Right.
Not much, but he's still very young. I'm not writing him off by any means. But we got a bunch of relatively no-name prospects. Some would argue, well, Michael Fulmer, hello. Well, yeah, but at the time, he was just this guy in the Mets. He'd never pitched in the majors. He was just a guy in the Mets organization, highly touted. Just like, let's say, the guy that they got the #1 prospect from the Cubs. He's highly touted. They love him. He's 24 years old. He can play third base. He can play first base. But my time hop, very opinionated, no, not me. I posted on Twitter. I took to Twitter to rant. Why not? Because that's where it's like therapy. And I said, wow, good job, Dombrowski. Yoenis Cespedes for a pile of no-name garbage. Mind you, the return on Cespedes was the most of anyone. We received 3 prospects in the Yoenis Cespedes deal, i.e. Michael Fulmer, Matthew Boyd, who is he's contributing.
He was in the Jays trade.
No, I'm sorry. The fact checker.
Austin.
Anyways,
If you didn't pick that up, Austin said
Matthew
he was in the
Boyd
Jays
was
trade.
in the Jays trade. Okay, then we got 2. The other one was Luis Kessa, or Kessa, or however you pronounce it. Mind you, we traded him right away. But what did we get for him? Justin Wilson. We traded.
Got turned into Jacoby Jones.
Yep. But this Yoenis Cespedes deal inevitably netted us Justin Wilson and Michael Fulmer. I say just let it play out. Joakim Soria for Jacoby Jones straight up. Jacoby Jones still young. He had a homer on opening day this year. Gets hit in the face, hasn't been the same. He's going to be a slick fielder. It's just a matter of how his bat turns out. Still young. I'm not writing him off by any means. Last year in his first game, since he got picked up from the Pirates organization in AAA, he had 3 home runs. I'm not writing him off. And then you go over to the David Price trade when you get Daniel Norris, Matthew Boyd, and Chabort, or whatever his name is. He's still in our minor league system. He's a pitcher. So there's 2 major league pitchers who pitched in the majors the following year. In that deal, you had 3 of our current starting pitchers. 3. Now Norris is on the DL, but when he returns, and all year he's been a starter. Norris, Boyd, Fulmer. Pretty much your closer, who you just traded away, Justin Wilson, and Jacoby Jones, and a minor leaguer. That's a good haul for rental players. Rental players. All 3 of them were rentals. One ended up re-signing, Yoenis Cespedes. He's still with the Mets. Soria goes to the Royals. Price goes to Boston. So let it play out. Sure, well, JD got you 3 shortstops, none of which have really played. Lugo is number 4 in the system.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard that their minor league system is no better than ours, if not worse.
Correct. It was ranked worse, actually, by a few spots. Then that's the Diamondbacks organization, who we traded J.D. Martinez to for Darcel or Darnell or whatever Lugo. D. Lugo, we're going to call him. D, big D-bone. And then 2 lesser known. One guy is just a throw-in. The other guy could be a major leaguer. And Lugo, they're saying, will be a major league shortstop. But if you play shortstop, you can play any infield position, is what pretty much. You have the most range. You have a pretty good throwing arm, so you can move to third. But that being said, a lot of times shortstops are undersized. Mind you, we're going to switch gears to the most recent trade. Justin Wilson, your left-handed closer, who is not a rental. He still has 1 year of club control after this. So next year, trade him to the Cubs. And the throw-in was Alex Avila, who's having a career year, best year since 2011. Mind you, the month of July is brutal. His OPS is only 420. 420. .420. His average has dropped tremendously. He's down in the 280, 270 range. I can't pinpoint it, but I think that deal is one we're going to talk about a year or 2 from now and say, wow, good move. Because Avila's going to re-sign here next year. His family lives here. He's only not played here 1 year. And where'd he go? Oh, Chicago. Just played on the south side rather than Wrigleyville. Now he's going to get to see what a real team looks like in Chicago. His dad's the GM. Whatever that's worth, I'm not sure. But I think no-brainer Avila will re-sign, at least to a minimum deal. He's 30 years old. His better days are behind him. To me, though, I don't know if you'd want him to re-sign because I don't see a repeat season happening like Avila's having. You traded him on his decline of this year. You got something for him. Good job. Good job. I'm going to applaud Al Avila for that one. I still think he's incompetent, and I think he got lucky. He went into the basement, it's dark out, the power's out, and you're just trying to find that flashlight, and he's like, found it. That's what Avila did. He got lucky. Blind squirrel finding the nut out back.
Yep.
Found it. Justin Wilson struggled a little bit last year, and the Yankees were done. They gave up on him. They traded him for a minor leaguer. He found it this year, not so much last year. And then since taking over the closer's role, since K-Rod is sayonara'd, his numbers have gone up. When he was that setup guy, he was lights out. The closing role, it's a lot more stress, and I don't think he's good enough to be the closer in Chicago.
Or any contender for that.
No, he's not that good. I think the hype around Justin Wilson was that he's lefty and can throw hard.
Strikes out righties.
I'm not that sold on Wilson. I haven't been all year. I'm like, oh, sweet, he's got good numbers, but I'm not sold. I love this trade. I love it. You got a guy who arguably you're going to get back next year, and another guy who probably you're going to see him with an ERA around 5 and out of the league in 3 years. And you got an 18-year-old shortstop, second baseman, the number 10 prospect in the Cubs organization, and the number 1, Luis Caparapara. Luis C. I really should have fact-checked before I sat down today, but why? He got hurt in his first game with West Michigan Whitecaps. Got hit in the eye with a throw. He'll be back. Don't worry, people. I like it. I do.
Good.
You had to make the moves. Would I have liked to see them get rid of some of the bad contracts? Sure. But from the moves that were made, I'm okay with. Because if you still think, oh, we like our team going forward, people, we really do. We've played good since we've traded these guys. Okay. Then make a run at JD in the offseason. You traded him. You got something for him. Now, even if he walks, it's not a Max Scherzer situation. You at least made an effort and got something. And I think the JD trade, if he was going to be traded no matter what, you got what you could. Some people would say, well, you should have held out. Waited. Look at the return on Melky Cabrera. Not much.
No.
Look at these other outfielders that weren't traded. Ozuna in Miami. Jay Bruce was not moved. Yonder Alonso was not moved. These guys weren't moved. And they're not on contenders, and they're having good years, and they're rental players. The return was not there. Teams who were in the hunt didn't need a right-handed power bat. They didn't. And even the lefties. It wasn't there. So I think getting something at all for JD, you should be happy with. And that's why I'm just going to oppose you. Yeah. I'm neutral. I really am. But I'm just going to take that side and just give you something to think about.
Right.
And you all to think about.
Well,
It's the big picture. Wait a couple years. It's hard to say, well, I've never heard of them. You're building for a future. Do you want to continue to be the Detroit Tigers of the last 5 years who have just gotten older and worse every year? That's the Detroit sports way. Look at the Red Wings. It's
And
where
lucky,
old
too.
players go to die. Mike Modano, Darian Hatcher, Sean Avery. Now let's go to the Tigers. Victor Martinez, Maglio, Carlos Guillen, Rondell White. These guys just come here and rot. So to me, you're getting younger. You're making an effort at a future. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah, and it's a great argument, and you got me sold. But
That was a 10-minute rant. I'm sorry.
no, it wasn't a rant. It was just you pleading your case, and it was very well stated. So thank you.
Calm too.
Yeah, you were.
My
yeah.
head isn't like hot like it usually is after this.
Is the traveling did you good? It
Yeah,
was
I
good.
needed some time away, calm down.
You made some travel arrangements, and it worked very well.
Arrangement.
Yeah, I missed him, but he's back.
Travel arrangement. I didn't even leave Michigan.
Right.
Jackson State Penitentiary. Just kidding.
No, but yeah, something had to be done. Like you said, we weren't. I said earlier, we weren't going to be pushing these big contracts away. Could we? Yes. Or it would be a nice pipe dream, but it's not going to happen. But with that being said, they did make some moves. They weren't standing still,
Yes.
and they were
Brand life.
they were, yeah. They made some moves. I think we're so used to immediate gratification as far as hockey's concerned. You look back at some of those older deals, and we got these big name players with the Wings. Maybe we got we got lucky a couple of times with the Tigers. But that era is gone and done. We are no longer this immediate strengthening of the team. Like you said, we're going to wait. It's a wait and see. Hopefully it's sooner than later. But yeah, I really hope it works out. Baseball hasn't been the same the past couple of years, and it definitely needs to be brought back.
definitely. You mentioned Wings. We're talking contracts. They're in a predicament.
Yes.
They are over the salary cap. Mind you, they have until the first game to get back under the salary cap. They just gave Tatar all that money, $5.3 million over 5 years. Now, makes you think. They still have Andreas Athanasiou, AA, Grease Lightning, not under contract. He's a restricted free agent. They have until the beginning of the year to sign him to get a deal done. My guess is he's going to get around $2 million, 1.8 to 2.2. They're signing him. It's happening. But where do they get the cap relief? My guess is, I was just kind of crunching some numbers to see how they could get this done. I truly don't know if I believe a trade is on the horizon or a buyout. I would love to believe that maybe they're going to try to see what they can get for Eriksson, whether it be a 6th or a late round pick of some kind. If they can't get anything, a buyout may ensue. They haven't bought anyone out since Stephen Weiss 3 years ago, but at $4.25 million, you have to think. Nicholas Kronwall's another option at $4.75 million. These guys are in the access. They have 9 defensemen. Only 6 to 7. Not a lot of teams dress 7 because you just go through 3 pairs and you're short on a 4th line. So the Red Wings have always dressed 6 defensemen. That means 3 guys. You have Mike Green, Danny DeKeyser, Trevor Daley, Xavier Ouellet, Nick Jensen, and then the question mark for the last one, are you going to put Kronwall, are you going to put Eriksson there, or are you going to give it to Sproul? Luke Witkowski was just signed, but he can play forward as well. Where are you going to go? So either a buyout or another option that gives you cap relief is the long-term injured reserve. Johan Franzen is currently hanging out over there. He's been ever since he got hit in the head with a baseball bat or whatever. He's got the Eric Lindros syndrome. You've already got Johan Franzen on there until 2021. He's not going to retire because then he doesn't get paid. So I'm on long-term IR. I'm not counting against the cap. I'm just collecting my salary, showing up at games, or going to concerts that Dan sees him at. So you have Franzen, and you are likely to probably get Nicholas Kronwall on there as well. His knees are shot. He hasn't been the same player since 2011.
Yeah.
Seriously.
We've talked about this before. He was like Ndamukong Suh. He was marked. He was notorious. He had a reputation, and he couldn't get away with those hits like he used to.
And if you're looking at forwards, they're saying a youth movement's ensuing. They're talking Martin Frk's going to make this team. Evgeny Svechnikov, if there's a top 9 position open, is going to make this team. He's not going to get thrown on the 4th line. They'll keep him in Grand Rapids. But Furky's a done deal. He's on this team. Mm-hmm. Those 2 guys are listed ahead of Tyler Bertuzzi of making this team. Do I agree with it? I'm not sure. I haven't seen enough of Martin Frk to really say for sure. I like Svech. You got to get him in there. I do. I like him. Maybe another year or a half a year in Grand Rapids would be good seasoning for him. I like Svech. Frk's been good in the minors. He's worth a shot. Give him, a month, see what he can do. Those guys are on the team. So that leaves one forward that would likely hit the bricks. I'm going to guess, due to his recent leg injury, Luke Glendening will start the year on long-term IR as well. Then that gives you until probably Thanksgiving time to figure out what you've got, either make a trade or cut a guy loose, DFA him. Mm-hmm. And I could see them DFAing, placing on waivers. I'm getting my sports mixed up. But a player like Eriksson could get put on waivers, and I could easily see him clearing. And at that point, if you're Eriksson, do you accept and go to Grand Rapids, or do you just go home? Go play in the Swiss League or go play in the KHL. Players are dropping, going to the K, left and right. Klein from New York, gone. Markov from Montreal, gone. These players are leaving and they're still young. Markov, old. But Klein is 30 years old, 32 years old. Gone, see ya. They're going to the KHL.
Yeah.
We've seen it. So, the Wings are in a predicament here.
Yes,
I don't know what. It's going to be exciting to see, but kind of lackluster all at the same time. Disappointing, exciting, I don't know. It's just going to happen.
The big question is, you and I have talked a lot about this is when is he going to get his due? And I'm referring to Athanasiou. You know, we went on multiple rants, more so you, about him not getting his time. He was a terrific player. He didn't get the time he deserved, and now, I mean, amongst other things, I'm gonna try and cut that short. But he's not even signed a contract. Yes, we have enough time to sign. But why wait? Why do we wait for someone like this? And then I want to piggyback also on the youth movement. We are just now accepting the fact that we're going to do a youth movement. The big separation, the division that kept Stevie from any office positions here in Detroit was the fact that Ken Holland didn't want to go to the youth movement. Stevie, a player, saw that this is where they needed to go. He's been saying it since day one. And when did Stevie leave for Tampa Bay?
2011, 12?
Okay, so just about 6 years, and we are just now possibly accepting the fact that we're going to go to a youth movement. You watch Chicago come up, you watch Pittsburgh come up, you watch Montreal come up, and we're still not fully grasping the youth movement. Nick?
Look at Toronto.
Look
at Edmonton.
Thank you,
Look
yes.
at these teams. They've done it, Edmonton not so much, but Toronto, they've done it pretty quick. They pieced together their veterans, Lupul and JVR and Kessel when he was there. They pieced them together, but when they've had the top picks, they've done well with them. Matthews, Nylander, Marner, these guys have done it.
Yeah. And they've had top picks. Yes, that's easy to say. Okay, well, you get Austin Matthews, you get, you know, and it's just, yes, it's easy, but there's also a lot of B-list, C-list players that play huge roles. And the fact that we're not accepting this isn't tunnel vision right now is blowing my mind. We have the talent too. We have double
The Red
A.
Wings have a very good bottom six players. Third and fourth line, we're good. But those top two lines are so lackluster.
Yes.
They need production. They need Larkin to come out and have another good year. They need Mantha to grasp this elite young prospect that he is. They need Athanasiou to play more than 11 minutes a game. Jeff Blashill, call me up. Baby. Zetterberg had 68 points last year.
Yes.
Arguably one of his better seasons of his whole career. He's old. Get rid of him. He's slow. Clearly you haven't watched a game. Sure, he's not fast. But when he has the puck, good things are happening. He's one of the only players on the team with a plus-minus last year.
Yeah. You know what? Early on, we were very spoiled with the Hall of Famers that we had on our team. I am really excited to see the youth that we have coming up. I thought the draft this year I was pretty happy with. I am excited to see where this team can go with the youth movement. I've seen the youth movement work we've seen it work in so many cities, and be successful. I mean, look at Edmonton. That's all right. Yes, you have one of the best draft picks, you know, since Sidney Crosby, or arguably. But it's time. We're overdue. I love our talent that we have and where our potential is to go. It's just now pulling the trigger, not making stupid contracts like we did, and just keep this youth movement going and actually start it, get the ball rolling. Yes, we're sort of trying to push the car, but it's an uphill push. We got to get it over that hill so we can get moving with some momentum again.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out in the next couple of weeks here. Football's coming up. It's a good time. We are now officially in football season. There will not be another weekend until February that there's no football. This is the time of the year. This is it. This is fun. And we'll have to talk about it next week.
Yes.
Because, you know, time's up. Saved by the Bell. Good show, Screech. Get at me. Dan Myers, Nick Buckler saying, see ya.
Thanks for watching.